and welcome to the Jack and Cole podcast, the podcast where two brothers just talk about random magic topics. My name is Cole, and with me is my marvelous co host, Jack, aka the Goblin Ringleader. Jack, how are you doing today?
We're big chillin'. It's a beautiful day. It's a little bit cold, kind of cloudy, but the last few days have actually felt like summer. How about you, over by you, Cole?
Yeah, it's been interesting in Denver. Currently, it's kind of overcast and rainy, but I appreciate the weather. When it's raining in Colorado, we definitely need that. So, yeah, it's kind of a doomy gloom sort of day, but it's all right because we are in the absolute heat of spoiler season. Scorching hot, beautiful. The basic land art is on display for you here. For example,
Ooh.
Jack, we're going to be going over the top 10. We both have a top 10 list here for Final Fantasy cards. We're just going to kind of run through them, maybe some honorable mentions, and then, yeah, probably just like our overall thoughts on Final Fantasy. So, might as well just jump right in. Jack, what is the first card that we have on our list?
Oh, Sephiroth is so crazy. This card is, I think, when we talk about like pillars of archetypes, this is going to be the aristocrats card going forward. Standard is going to be like 3 year legalities, or maybe I think it's gonna be this is gonna be in standard for 3 years. And so Sephiroth is a 3 mana 3/3. It's a legendary creature, human avatar soldier. When it enters or attacks, you can sack another creature. If you do, you draw a card. 1/1 transition. You have a 1/1 token. You mobilize token that's gonna go away. You get to turn it into a card. It's pretty cool, and you get to do it like the Titan text, where it's enters and attacks. So it's super charged. So if you give it haste, for example, play it,
Mm.
sack a creature, draw, then attack, sack a creature, draw. That's 3 mana, draw 2 cards. And then whenever another creature dies, target opponent loses a life and you gain a life. If this is the fourth time this ability has resolved this turn, transform Sephiroth. I do want to say, this is your Blood Artist on your Phyrexian arena, and then it flips. And the flip side is a 5/5 flyer supernova. As this creature transforms into Sephiroth, one winged angel, you get an emblem. What? With whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses life and you gain a life. Okay, so the backside is a 5/5 flyer, and it gives you permanently a Blood Artist emblem. And there's more. Whenever Sephiroth attacks, you may sack any number of other creatures if you do draw that many cards.
Yeah. Yeah, this card is good. It does feel like in the current standard metagame, like Aristocrats is unplayable, just like completely unplayable off the map. So it makes sense why they're coming out with a little bit more of like a juiced uh, payoff for Aristocrats. I will say this is quite juiced, right?
They
So
cranked the knob.
like usually blood artists these days do not have the symmetrical text, where like if creatures they die usually does not trigger the new blood artist. This one does. So if you have the kind of effect where, like, imagine like a flesh bag marauder. I'm not sure if we have any of those in standard right now. But like a creature that comes in and it makes each player sacrifice a creature, and then he attacks and you sack a creature to draw a card. That's three of the four. If you just have like a removal spell or village rights. Also, it's very important to mention that we are in a standard format that has Bloodghast. We have Bloodghast in the format. We have Fabled Passage in the format. There's like, and you're right. If you give Sephiroth haste somehow, a way that's like generically good to give him haste, and not just like I'm going out of my way to play Tuck Tuck Rebel Fort to give him haste. Um, then it does seem like it would be very good. And dude, flipping over and getting an emblem as a creature is so hardcore and metal. It just like it's a super villain type of thing to do. So that's pretty cool. Um,
Someone in the comments when I made a short about Sephiroth told me that he's already come up with 4 different ways to like just over and over make emblems. So if you're able to like with a displacer kitten, blink Sephiroth and reflip it, and then you have enough creatures to just like sack, and you like somehow get a loop going.
hmm.
You're like, okay, well I'll just like flip it, get an emblem, blink it, reflip it, get an emblem, blink it, reflip it, get an emblem, blink it, and like commander players are going crazy because they're like, oh, there's gonna be so many cards, so many ways to break this card, and I think this card just might be playable in standard. Like you get
Yeah.
like white black aristocrats, you have as you said, you have bloodcast, all these amazing tools. It's gonna be interesting where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. If there is something going on with Sephiroth, I think that it would involve Bloodgas or maybe not. We have 9 Lives Familiar, which is a card that dies 9 times before it. You can just kind of use that. Which and I think maybe just hopping over to Phantom Train as our next spoiler might be
Train.
a good, like, segue. 3 and a black for
I
an
like
uncommon
trains.
4/4 vehicle. It's got trample. We like trains. And its text is pretty simple. Sack another artifact or creature. Put a moment counter on this vehicle. It becomes a spirit artifact creature in addition to its other types until end of turn. So, what are we doing with Phantom Train? We're not exactly beating face, that's an option, and it does get quite large, but it is a free sack outlet. And so, like, just kind of putting these 2 cards together, with something like 9 Lives Familiar that gives you 9 activations of Sephiroth to, 9 Blood Artist triggers. So it's like there's some interesting things going on, with
And that makes it a
these dynamics.
13/13 trampler.
Right, exactly. So if they can't do anything about it, then it just smacks you. Also, you've drained them for 4 at least with Sephiroth. He flips, he makes an emblem. You drain him for another 5, and then you attack for 13 with your Phantom Train. You kill them, and that's just like super cool. Like, and 3 cards. So yeah, I think Phantom Train is neat. I don't really have anything else. It's just a free sack outlet on an artifact. So
Yeah, you get to keep your value around. Your opponent wants to get value out of targeting things sometimes, and you just get to fizzle those if you ever sack it in response.
yeah.
And there's some amazing like flavor text. Somebody told me that there's a card called Suplex where they're running towards the train, and the the train itself is the Phantom Train. And somebody commented that in the game, the character is able to suplex things much larger than himself, and he's actually able to, due to a bug in like the final battle with the train, gets to suplex the multi-ton train over his head, and it's just like full on animation, takes the final boss and just like finishing moves it, which is so cool because old school, like I can't say RPGs, but old school games like that, you have bugs like that that just like make it near and dear to, like Skyrim, when you can clip up the walls.
Mm,
You're just like spamming your jump over and over again, and you can just a sheer cliff. You could just slowly just beep, 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 glitch up.
right.
Old school games have these features that make them near and dear to our hearts. And I didn't know about. I've never played Final Fantasy. I don't know if you have, Cole.
Mm.
We just didn't have a lot of access to it growing up.
Right, exactly.
And
Yeah, no, that's super cool, and it's not a bug, it's a feature. I like the important wordage there for sure. So let's move on. Definitely some cool things going on with Sephiroth and with Phantom Train. Jack, what do we have next?
oh, this is disgusting. So I'm imagining that you play like Bant Control in Modern. You're able to, get a Teferi to play turn 2, and then like you just like have access to counter magic, and now you have a board wipe that can end their turn if you cast it with flash. Like imagine your opponent plays like their game-winning spell, right? You
Mhm.
can just like counter it by wiping the board and ending the turn, which exiles the spell on the stack. Or you can, in their upkeep, if they have a good board wipe. This is the ultimate cryptic command. For 1 extra mana, you gain the ability to literally turn off their turn as long as you cast it with flash, which in eternal formats and older formats, and Commander especially, there's a billion ways to give things flash. So I think that in standard, in like baseline, 5 mana sweeper that hits artifacts is good because Cutter is just such a huge problem right now. Then stacked on top of that, it eliminates all death triggers.
Yeah,
The turn's just over. So if there's any like death triggers like Blood Artist style stuff, just all goes away. Nothing actually happens.
yeah.
And then the ceiling on this card is super high.
It's actually funny because I think it's Tarkir that has a 4 mana flash dragon that gives your sorceries and dragon spells flash. So you can in standard, like, end of turn,
Wow.
flash the dragon in, untap, have all your mana up, stop on their upkeep, Ultima their turn. Like, That's a pretty powerful sequence,
You
in
think about it,
theory.
it's like 2 mana, take an extra turn, 3 mana board wipe. Like,
Yeah, and, like
that's a pretty good rate. Mhm.
yeah, and even if you're not casting this in the greatest, that's obviously the ceiling, and the ceiling is great. It's like a time warp board wipe. It's insanity. In the Corey Stillcutter meta, this is a very relevant line of text. Like, temporary lockdown is good. It doesn't hit everything, and it's also we're experiencing the development of the meta with Into the Floodmaw becoming a main deck card and just kind of a gameplay sequence of being like, sure, temporary lockdown, all my stuff, I'll bounce it end of turn and I'll still kill you. So having a 5 mana just like full stop kills all the stuff, still does to spell pierce, but I mean your control deck, you can figure it out. You've got spell pierce of your own, you've got counter magic, so
The new blue land, you can
new
cast
blue
it
land. There you go.
uncounterable.
Easy peasy.
Dunk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. We broke it. So Ultima, good, and definitely we think it's got some insane ceiling. Let's see. Let's talk about Lightning, Army of One. One red white for a 3/2 legendary creature human soldier. It's got first strike, it's got trample, and it has lifelink. And it has stagger. When lightning deals combat damage to a player, until your next turn, if a source would deal damage to that player or permanent that player controls, it deals double that damage instead. So if a source means not just your creatures, it means your instants and sorceries, your burst lightning becomes 4 damage to the face. Like lightning is so good. It does die via torch the tower, burst lightning, cut down to, but it makes sense why. I mean, this card is insanity. It is upsetting that Brothers War is going to be rotating because this is like the perfect recommission card where you play this, they kill it, turn 4, recommission, play a 2 drop, back to the races. But yeah, Jack, how do we feel about Lightning Army of One?
I think this card is actually insane. I'm thinking about Boros Charm and how you can deal 8 damage. Like, you play this on 3, and then you attack, and then the next turn you go double Boros Charm, 16 you.
Yeah, you just untap and hit him for 60 after hitting him for 3. Like, that's
You're
insanity.
like, you like shrug. You're like,
Yeah.
you want to race? Like,
Yeah.
you
This
give it.
card is
There's
crazy good.
so many busted things you can do.
Yeah. I mean,
I
there's
think
really
that
not.
like
Yeah, go ahead.
go back to older formats. I think that like that's standard, and then you go to like Pioneer and like maybe this is like I think there's some cards that like you have to evaluate for like formats specifically, right? Like Lightning is like really good in standard, but I think it might be like the most busted in like Pioneer. You play this as like one of your only creatures. You play like a lot of burn spells or like humans. I remember hearing you talk about like this card in like Pioneer humans. You have Reflector Mage. You have all of your busted tools, and there's not a lot of like really good like I guess there's a couple control decks in Pioneer, but right now it's just a bunch of mid range piles, which I think you can like play through, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, this card also wears Shelter by Ghosts incredibly well as well. Like
Oh God.
it doesn't like it already has lifelink, but like just any way that you can juice the power and toughness of this card is going to get you places. So, yeah, I like Lightning a lot. Jack, what is the next card on our list?
Oh, I
I
think
think
that
it's, yeah.
Abuela's Awakening has been like a bane on the format. And I love combo decks. I don't hate the deck. I think that it's really cool. I say that sarcastically because my friend plays the deck. But uh, so bringing back an Omniscience on turn 4 has been a feature of Standard for a while now, which is kind of insane if you go back like and you look at like, power levels of decks in Standard throughout time. I
Mm,
think you could put the Abuelos deck next to any Standard deck in the past, and it would just like blow it out of the water. It'd be like,
yeah.
okay, interaction on 1, interaction on 2, interaction on 3. Okay. Uh,
Well,
I
loot
surveilled.
on surveil, yeah.
I surveilled in one of these turns for some reason. Like,
Yeah.
like Entomb is an insane magic card, and even if they're not comboing exactly on turn 4, they're able to go to the late game
Yeah.
like no other deck. Like playing a control plan where your backup game plan is cast an Omniscience and then just loop dragons, pretty good. However, Abuelos rotates, and I think that once they lose that card, they're gonna have to look to either some other way to get Omniscience into play. This is one extra mana. It can get killed because it's a creature, but it's your end step. So you play it, and as long as you can move phases to your end step,
Yeah.
you just get to bring back your omniscience. It gets a finality counter, but it's an enchantment, so it's gonna be hard to kill anyways. And then
Yeah.
you have an omniscience in play. I think they just play Bant Reanimator. Uh,
It doesn't die to that much with Ward 2. You cast it, and if it resolves, it has Ward 2 during your turn. So you pretty much get to just move to your end step, I think. Uh, yeah. It seems very good. They're like, there's
oh, and this
so
creature
many
also
busted.
has trample and lifelink.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many busted enchantments that you get to bring back to the battlefield. Like, think about the cards that you are actively looking to deal with in the post board games. Like Domain, I think of temporary lockdown, Leyline Binding. Like this could just be played in Domain as like, hey, I know that you're boarding in Disenchant, so I'm gonna board in 2 Yunas, and then this game is gonna go long. We're gonna one for one. You're gonna kill, spend cards to kill my dude, and I'm gonna play Yuna, which is a card in itself, and it's just gonna start bringing back my Leyline Bindings and my temporary lockdowns, and give them ward. And like, yeah, this card seems really good. It's also cute with summons. We're not really talking about that many summons today because like there's quite frankly, there's a lot more interesting cards to me personally. They're interesting, they're cool, they're saga creatures, but like there's a lot that this set has to offer, and we can only talk about so many cards. um,
Otherwise, we'd be here all day talking about cup noodles.
yeah, instant ramen would be a 30-minute segment of the podcast for sure. Okay, what's next here? We've got Cloud, Midgar Mercenary, white for a 2/1. When Cloud enters, search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. As long as Cloud is equipped, if an ability of Cloud or an equipment attached to it triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. So initially, I was freaking out because I did not read that line of text, right? So I thought that you could just like play Corey Steelcutter, not have it equipped to Cloud, and then cast a 1 drop and then get 2 prowess tokens. That's not how Cloud works, which is ultimately really good. But yeah, Jack, how do we feel about Cloud here with the current context that we have?
Does it work with Buster Blade or
Buster Sword. So I think yeah, we should probably talk about Buster Sword since we're here as well, right? Which is this
that's the
card.
card.
It's the
It's so
card.
good.
Three mana for an artifact equipment. The equipped creature gets +3/+2. Whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, then you may cast a spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to that damage without paying its mana cost. So you equip it to a 1/1, it becomes a 4/3, you battle, and then you can draw a card and cast a 4 drop or less. So obviously it's only upside from there if you can equip it to anything bigger than that, and it's got equip 2. So it's got the same exact sword templating as like the Sword of Fire and Ice, which I think is very nice flavor, like kind of down the lineage of the swords, like following the tradition. So I think that that's super cool and flavorful within the Magic universe itself. Yeah, Jack, how do you feel?
I think this card is insane. I think that like Cloud being able to grab it's really flavorful. I think that there's going to be a red white equipment theme because we also got Gilgamesh, which is basically a Muxus for equipment. And then when you put all those top six, all equipment that you reveal this way go into play, one of them you equip for free to Gilgamesh. And so I feel like there's definitely going to be some like really crazy decks that are trying to play like any of the equipment that we have in standard that just haven't seen any play at all because why would you equip things, just kill people with mice
Yeah.
and cutter. So the Buster Sword I think is one of those cards where it's going to be like there's going to be a couple memer dreams, but if you're able to get this on something, it's going to win you games.
Yeah. I mean, equip 2 is not a bad equip cost. Like they really could have made it equip 3 and made this equipment much worse. But equip 2 is
Lightning.
aggressively costing. What'd you say?
You put this on
Oh yeah,
lightning.
you put this on lightning. Yeah, that's a good point. Um, and yeah, and it double triggers cloud, so it's like this together makes it a 5/3, and then you can draw 2 cards and cast 2 5 drops or less from your hand. Like that is actually kind of insane.
Yeah.
And also Sigarda's 8 on 1, Cloud on 2, Buster Sword on 3 is some a line that you can take in older formats, which I think is super cool as well, and just like, hell yeah, dude, like, talk about absolute, like, if it ends up being a spike thing, fine, but it definitely feels more Timmy-like to me and just being like, "I swing sword, and I go fast," and, like, you can kill people with an ornithopter and a hammer way faster than you can kill them with a cloud and a buster sword, but man, does it make you feel things, so, yeah,
That's awesome.
we like
I
cloud.
agree. I think this card's really cool.
Yeah, agreed. I'm excited. It's also a human, so I get to play with more permutations of humans. Alright, what do we got next?
Okay. Have you ever imagined that the surveillance just drew you cards? Well, today is your fever dream day because you woke up and Matoya Archon Elder is a 3 mana 1/4. It's a human warlock legend. When you scry or surveil, in addition to, it doesn't replace it. In addition to, so you're like, well, I'm gonna play my surveil land. Surveil. That's a good card. I'll just take it. You cast Opt. you you scry, and then you draw one, and then you draw one.
Well, and it's
You
it's
can't
like it's, like, even better than it's like the templating is so good on this card because it's not even just, like, whenever you scry, you draw a card, it's a trigger, so you still get to, like, scry and have selection, and then you get to like, draw cards, like, oh my god.
like, and you like that's the floor,
Yeah.
right? The floor is that like it just makes the cards you already want to be playing better. Now you build around it, and you like somehow do some crazy things. Like
There's a
I can
1 mana 1/1. It's a black 1 black for a 1 mana 1/1 that whenever a creature with power 2 or less enters, you surveil 1. Just and it's Snarling Gorehound, it's played in the Insidious Roots deck. You just play
Oh,
this on
that's right.
3, it triggers the Gorehound, you draw, and then you're just like,
Oh,
trigger my Insidious Roots?" Like
I guarantee you, there's gonna be ways that this goes infinite, and I just can't wait to see how many like and like you go back to older formats, and there's it's just gonna be ridiculous. Like
yeah.
like
Yeah,
talk
Matoya
about
seems very good.
Commander All-Star immediately, like one of the best blue legends, I think. Like if you just want to be drawing cards, you're just like, here's my 3 mana 1/4, doesn't die to bolt. Now all my draws are supercharged, like just ridiculously supercharged.
Yeah, right. And I do think that, like, with Scry and Surveil, they're pretty liberal about tacking that on, so I think there's a lot of cards that, like, are completely unplayable, but then with Matoya, it's like, "Oh, this matters. This draws me a ton of cards." So, it's gonna kinda be a more, like instead of you're just playing generically good blue cards as if you have this as your legend, it's gonna kind of push you towards playing more quirky cards and weird cards, but they work well with Matoya, and I think that's the best design space to be in.
That's where we want to be.
Yeah, we love so good on Matoya. Also 1/4, big booty.
Don't you know it's rude to enter without knocking? The nerve of some people.
What do we got
That's
next?
the, that's the favorite text. Vincent Valentine is crushing standard, Cole. It's a 4 mana 2/2. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a number of 1/1 counters on Vincent Valentine equal to that creature's power. So that's half a crash? We'll take it. Whenever Vincent Valentine attacks, you may transform it. It is a 3/2 with trample and lifelink. And when Galleon Beast dies, return to the battlefield tapped face up. Uh
Yeah, card seems good.
I I like it a lot. I think that there's like a bunch of like really cool things you can do with this card. We have a couple new spells. There's a red 4 drop where target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature. So let's say you have 2 counters on Vincent Valentine. He's a 4/4. You cast that spell, deals 4 damage to each other creature, and then he just gets all those counters.
This one.
Uh, yeah, and then,
Nibelheim, a flame, 2 red red
and
sorcery, choose target creature. It deals damage equal to its power to each other creature. If it was cast from the graveyard, you discard your hand and draw 4 cards. Yeah, that's a quite the combo. Attack,
then
transform it, kill you, just kill you, gain a ton of
and
life.
and then attack trigger, flip it into a trample lifelinker. That's huge.
Yeah, right. It's like attack with my generic 2020. Oh, kidding. Just kidding.
No, kill you. And then there's self-destruct in this set too, which they just
Yes,
printed as a two mana sorcery, which I was thinking like, wow, once once we get it to the Galden side with trample and lifelink, we deal damage, then we self-destruct it, and it just comes back tapped. It's just like
insanity,
so.
insanity.
I think this card's really cool. We're gonna do some really dumb things with it. I guarantee you.
I guarantee it. Yeah, that seems super good. I've got nothing else to add there. Galleon Beast, great. Vincent Valentine, like I don't know anything about Final Fantasy, but I'm already like, yes, this is good flavor. So
1000%.
yeah, so good shit. Okay, what else we got here? Let's talk about Emmett Selk, Unsundered. 1 blue black for 2/4 vigilance. When it enters or attacks, draw a card, then discard a card. Beginning of your upkeep, if there are 14 or more cards in your graveyard, you transform Emmett Selk. So it's the beginning of your upkeep, right? You has to last a turn cycle, but what happens when you do get to transform this card? It's a 6/6 vigilance. It has Echo of the Lost. During your turn, you may play cards from your graveyard. If a card or token would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. So die triggers don't work, but like that's fine, right? Like, that's fine.
I just
Works.
feel like how easy is this going to be in eternal formats to flip into a Yogg's will?
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Sorry, its name is Hades, Sorcerer of Eld. So yeah,
that's pretty badass.
Yawgmoth's will on Hades makes sense for sure, for
So
sure.
you literally flip it probably turn 3 or 4
Yeah,
usually. If you're like built around it, right? You just like turbo mill, turbo mill, turbo mill. Um, Or in eternal formats, you like fast mana this into play, and then you like have fetches and like free spells that you're casting, and then your graveyard gets huge. And like this is something where 14 is a lot, but like eternal formats, you just like cast so many spells, so many
yeah,
redraws, so many cantrips, like brainstorm,
yeah,
and like I think with like in like a Sultai Beans deck or something, like you can do some really nasty things. And then like Hades is just like your win con. It's also like I think about it kind of like that's going to be your it's a Yogg's Will, but instead of having to use the spells in one turn, like in a storm style effect, you can play
right.
like you can control game.
Yeah.
You have your cards in your hand, and then you have your cards in your hand. They're just in your graveyard.
Oh my god, the
Like
arena, the arena like overlay is gonna be suffering so hard. It's gonna be like your hand over here, then the graveyard all strewn out. Uh, Hear me out. So you play Snarling Gorehound, you play Emmett Selch, you play Bloodcast, so you can keep discarding Bloodcat, so you can like discard Bloodcast, get it back, and you're sacrificing it with Sephiroth, and then you're playing this like whenever you scry, you draw a card and just like
oh, you're right.
Turbo Mill, draw all the cards, sack all the dudes,
Flip this,
and you're playing
access to all
like
the cards in your graveyard.
you're playing the most garbage Soul Tide Roots deck ever, but it sounds like so much fun.
That
Hell
sounds
yeah.
great.
All right, what's next? Kefka Court Mage. Or I should check. Let's have you read one. What's
No,
Viva do?
Kefka's crazy. Vivi is insane though. So 3 mana 03, 0 mana, make X mana in any combination of blue or red, where X is Vivi's power. Actually, only during your turn and once per turn. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a 1 counter on Vivi only, and it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Now, this is insane because imagine you go, you pay 3 mana to cast this, right? Then you untap turn 4 somehow. Magical Christmas land. You go opt, and then you go opt, and then you go opt, and then you go opt. Oh, you're muted.
Turn 3, you play it, and then you opt right away, right?
No, because it has no power.
Oh, I see.
But
Okay.
like you like you like cast like let's say you cast an opt, then you cast another opt, right? And you get 2 mana, get 2 counters on it. They take 2 damage, so
Mhm.
you don't even need to play burn spells. You just have to play a bunch of cantrips, stock ups, and the like, and you just literally just like spend all your mana. What this reminds me of is Fires of Invention and Wilderness Reclamation, because
Yeah.
what it does is it
A
doubles the amount of
huge
mana you
mana.
have.
Yeah. Well, what if you
So,
cast, like, Monstrous Rage on this first? You just go, like, 1 red mana, Monstrous Rage, it becomes a 1, it gets +3, so then it's a 4, and then you activate it, and you make 4 red, and then, like
but what if you spend yeah, what if you spend all of your mana doing that? What if
yeah,
you
y
spend 4
there you go.
mana, triple pump, and then you make what, 16 mana, and you get the counter like, you just play what
You
if you
play
play
Boommobile
Teamer?
and just kill them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you play Teamer, you just, like, put counters on it with, like, green cards,
Yeah.
and then, like, the counters that it gets from itself is permanent. Like, you can make this pretty big pretty fast, and the fact that you can, like, just put it in the Is It Prowess deck, and it, like, allows you to do what they're doing, like, this it's not gonna be the greatest, right? It's gonna definitely be like a meme or dream deck, but, like, I think it has the ability in a Spellslinger deck to just be your compare this to Gutter Snipe, right?
R
This used
it's
to be Gutter
yeah, it has the
Snipe.
possibility of being Busto, right? Like, you're totally right, it could be meme or dream. It could also be completely cracked to the point of, like, it's doing 2 things, right? It's doing the mana and it's doing the damage. So, if
And you
that's
can
the case
attack.
yeah, and you can attack with it, that's true, it's just 0 t it's like 0 colon, so it's just like, by the way, you get to smack with this as well.
The first thing I thought when I saw that 0 colon is every time I've seen this ability, it's busted.
Yeah.
Like, there's only, like, a couple times that I ever have seen a 0 dot colon, and this is, like, kind of insane. I think that being able to go, like, "Here's my Is It control deck, burn spell, stock up,"
I was about to say
and then
stock up, yeah.
and then I still have 5 mana left after I stock up. The issue with stock up is you cast stock up and you're tapped out. This would literally allow you to go the next turn,
Oh my
like,
god.
triple spell and then stock up, and they take 4.
I thought the mana could only be spent to cast non-creature spells. No, it's only during your turn, only activate once each turn. So you could just play 4 Storm Chasers talents and have what is it? It's 4 to level up once and then like 6 to level up
Oh,
the next time. You
you're
just
so
have
right.
like you've got like 10 mana worth of mana sinks on your one drop alone. And then if anyone's ever gotten to chapter 3 on a Chasers talent against you, you know that that is busted. Like that's a really good effect to have. So
That's a great point.
I think Vivi's just really good. Yeah, the more that I look at Vivi, the more I'm like, "Hmm,
Storm Chase, it doesn't have to wait a turn. It doesn't require a tap. Like, there's so many, like, safety valves that are not on this card, and there's
yeah,
so many things they added. I guarantee you that 1 damage was, like, the last thing that they added. They were like, "Well, it's really good, but let's also have it deal damage when they cast spells." Like, this is crazy.
it's crazy. Oh my god."
So I'm super excited, and I think it gets better and better in the older formats, right? Like, cast a free Force of Will, cast a Daze, like, so many free spells,
Yeah.
and it just gets so big so fast. Like,
That's a
cast
good
this
s
turn 1 in older formats.
yeah, that's a good point. Casting free spells does make it like, older formats, Vivi bobble off to the
Yeah,
races.
mutagenic growth, gut shot, like,
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Kefka. 2 blue, black, red, so 5 mana for a 4/5. Legendary creature, human wizard. When Kefka enters or attacks, each player discards a card. Then you draw a card for each card type among cards discarded this way. So each player, it's symmetrical. You discard a creature, they discard a sorcery. You draw 2 cards. If you each discard the same card type, you only draw 1 card. So it's like a rummage. Worst case scenario, best case scenario in 1v1, it's a like a thrill of possibility. So actually, like not a bad line of text there. And then it has 8 colon. Each opponent sacrifices a permanent of their choice, so they can pop a land or whatever. Transform Kefka, activate only as a sorcery. And what does it turn into? It turns into Kefka ruler of ruin. Legendary creature avatar wizard. It has flying and it has a very nifty line of text that says whenever an opponent loses life during your turn, you draw that many cards. The end draws
oh,
near. That's
oh god.
terrifying. How do we feel about Kefka?
Uh, I think that when I first looked at this card, I was like, okay, so I've seen a lot of really cool wizards. Vivi's a wizard, Kefka's a wizard. Like, there's just a lot of like really sweet stuff you could be doing. A Grixis control deck that's playing like Vivi and Kefka as their only real threats. You just like utilize those and like the best removal and card advantage spells. And then like your way to win the game is by either attacking with Kefka, and I think the way you break Kefka is you play multiple card type spells, right? You
Mhm.
FOMO and like all these other like
Oh, that's a really good
dual
point.
spells.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because the upside there is huge. Like you can draw like potentially three cards. Like if your opponent
4.
discards a sorcery, you discard a FOMO.
If they discard
Yeah,
a
or
FOMO and you discard an artifact creature, like, if they discard Patchwork Beastie, right?
yeah,
That's a really
the
good point.
the ceiling on that card is really really high, and so I think if you
Yeah.
build around it, it gets better. And it like you could just kill them with that like card advantage. Front half is pretty like decent card advantage, and it's a 4/5 beater.
Yeah,
You'll win games like that.
right. Yeah, totally. I've got the gears turning because I like to play, humans, Kindred, and, the older formats, and Kefka specifically with Catilda is very interesting to me, and just trying to, like, find a way to activate that 8 ability, like, semi-regularly is going to be what I'm gonna be focused on here. Because if you can consistently turn it into that 5/7 flyer, that's insanity. Obviously, it takes a while, um, but yeah, I do like the idea of just playing it in kind of like a mid-range slash control strategy or like Spellslinger deck, because its ability to draw the game out and have it go long is good, and, like, it combos with flashback spells, it combos with, like, cards that give value to the graveyard, like you said, multiple value types, so there's a lot of upside for Kefka, and I think that it's gonna be a good card.
Yeah, I think this is one of those cards where people are gonna be like, "Oh, it's a 5 drop," and then they're gonna play against it, and they're gonna be like, "Wait a second, that's a good 5 drop."
Yeah, exactly. What else we got?
Okay, so hear me out. Affinity has gotten a lot of tools recently, and in this set, they've gotten one of the best artifact cards that I've seen in a long time. We have Tempered Steel, I'm pretty sure, in Foundations. Like we have like a lot of crazy artifact cards, and I think that the flavor of Final Fantasy has kind of pushed these equipment to the forefront, and the white one is like built for an artifact deck. It's a 5 mana job select equipment, which basically means when it enters, you make a 1/1 hero and you just equip it to it. And so this is a 5 mana 1/1 that gets +2/+2 for each artifact you control and is an artificer in addition to its other types. Now it counts itself, so it base gives itself +2/+2, so it's a 3/3. And if you have any other artifact cards in play, like let's say you have a simulacrum synthesizer and you have a single construct and maybe a 1/1 servo, right? That's an 8/8. That's a 9/9 for 5 mana. You can put it on anything. You can put it on your flyer for 4 mana. I think that this is going to be equivalent to like a, I can't say a cranial plating, but this is a cranial plating in standard, and I think that this is the something that might boost the artifact decks pretty hard.
Agreed, I think that this is a good card. 5 mana makes me feel, it gives me pause just because it is an artifact. Those especially with Corey Steelcutter, like, in the context of the format that we're in, it's gonna catch a lot of random hate from that. But yeah, this is gonna be a massive creature when it enters the battlefield, so if you have any way to utilize the fact that it's just gonna be an egregiously large amount of power and toughness, um, I think it'll be good. Like, on its own, and we're seeing this with green too, right? Where it's like, what do we need to do to make this just power and toughness beater good enough for standard? Or like even for just standard, right? And they're like, okay, so right now we're on 5 mana 8/8s with trample with upside. Like that's where we're at in terms of the power and toughness game. So that's really the thing that kind of makes me have the most pause. But it also has equip 4. So it's like if your 1/1 dies, you could also just move it over. It doesn't have the downside of the germ token where before when we had not well before I guess we had four Mirrodin, but before that even we had living weapon, and it's nice to just have like random material left around. So if you just like smack this on a flyer or a trampler or something that has some sort of evasion menace, then it's all of a sudden a ginormous problem. So I think that it does have a lot of potential.
Constructs, like simulacrum synthesizer constructs, like their base power and toughness is equal to the number of artifacts, and you put this on it, and somehow you give it evasion, as you said. Ugh.
Yeah, if you can give it unblockable like somehow, I think that's going to be like a great option for you. Yeah, We like machinists arsenal. All right, what else we got? We got astrologian, astrologians, logians, plain sphere. One in a blue for an artifact equipment. Again, job select. So it becomes equipped with that 1/1 hero. When it enters, equipped creature is a wizard in addition to its other types and has whenever you cast it on creature spell, and whenever you draw your third card each turn, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. And it has Diana equipped too. Wow, this card
I
seems
thought this
good.
I thought this card was 4 mana. I read this card and I was like, "Oh, 4 mana. This card's bad." Um, no, it's 2 mana. It's gonna be a 1/1, and then you immediately cast like something, and then it becomes a 2/2, and then every time you cast it after that, you just get more counters on it. What if you put this on a VV Cole?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's counters too, like, it's very impressive.
Uh,
It's not even just, like, putting counters on the like, sometimes it'll put, like, charge counters on the equipment. No, it just puts the counters on the dude, which I think is an upside because if you it definitely feels like this specific card needs to be answered. You can't just, like it comes with a job, how like, it comes with a body. You're I don't think the game plan is to, like, kill all the bodies here. It's kinda like Prof's Eidetic Memory where it's like you're gonna have to deal with that, and figure out a way to deal with it. So, yeah, I like this card a lot. It's interesting where it's like you play Corey Steel Cutter on 2, you play Australasia's Planesphera or you play this on 2, and then you play, like, Corey Steel into, like, an Opt, and then you just, like, have a bunch of creatures and a bunch of artifacts. So it's like, do we have anything with Ascend in this format? Because I really think that, like, we're moving to a spot where we just have, like, a ton of material between this and Corey Steel Cutter.
yeah, I mean, like you can if you go back to Grixis, we can play the Phantom Train, and then you can sack all these artifacts and all these creatures to just put a bunch of counters on your train.
And drain him with
And
Sephiroth.
And if they're not playing Ultima, they actually or not Ultima. If they're not built playing that new board wipe, then
Mm.
they can't get rid of your train. You go board wipe, they sack all their stuff to the train, and then the counters are on the train,
And then it kills you. Choo choo,
and then the
bitch.
train kills you. Choo choo,
Yeah,
motherfucker.
exactly. Hell yeah.
So I think this card's really cool. I think that like it gets better in older formats. Again, we go back to older formats, free spells, right? Like you're
Yeah.
just like here's my gush and stuff. Like, gush is one of my favorite cards to make fun of because I'm not a blue storm player, and I say gush is fine in modern. Put gush in modern. What could happen?
Let's move on and put
And
the crazy man to bed. Jack, what's our next card?
Squall Seed Mercenary. I don't know what any of that meant, but that's his name. It's a 4 mana 3/4. Rough Divide. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gains a double strike until end of turn. What? Did someone say Rafika the Many? Whenever Squall deals combat damage to a player, return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Uh, uh, uh.
S-
Permanent?
So it's funny, this is the third time I've read the card and I just put the two pieces together where if Squall alone attacks, he's got double strike and he can bring two permanent cards with CMC 3 or less back from the battlefield. That's really good. And we already have Alicia, which has the raid one red and a black and it's got raid where whenever you attack at the end step you can bring back a creature with power 2 or less, I believe. Um I'm a huge fan, and we have Zoraline as well, if you remember the black white bat that can bring things back as well. So I'm a huge fan of this design space. Just like it, there's something very feel good about like churning through your graveyard and bringing things back from the graveyard. So is it going to be like insane in standard? Maybe, probably not, but also, like, imagine playing black white, just like Preacher of the Schism, Unstoppable Slasher, a couple Dark Confidant, and you're just kinda like one for oneing, and then you land Squall, and if you can, get in, you're just all of a sudden way ahead on resources, so, I don't know, it's probably a little magical Christmas land, but that's good. Let them dream.
What if you have it what if you have it gain haste and then you're able to just do it the turn that it comes down? Like you're able to like play a red card or something that is able
Yeah.
to like give a creature. I thought of Arena of Glory,
Yeah,
right?
I know, I keep thinking of Arena Glory too. Yeah, in modern, ready? Foremost, fully turned on, Arena of Glory Squall, Attack Alone, 2 combats, you get 4 things back from your graveyard, like, even if it's just bobble, like, 2 bobbles, then you pop it, then 2 bobbles, like,
Oh, it's permanent. Well, we could bring back. I was
fetch
just thinking
lands,
creature.
yeah.
I was thinking creatures, so I was trying to figure out like in your humans deck what you would bring back, like just
Yeah,
like 3 drops. You go like is it extraction specialist? An extraction specialist brings back like a sack, and then you sack the extraction specialist, and then you bring back the other one, and then
hell
you
yeah.
like Thalia's lieutenant over and over again. My brain also went to it says permanent, so why not planeswalkers? Like if
Yeah,
you're able to get like in
Grist
older
or
formats,
Tyvar, like, Tyvar's in
yeah.
standard,
Oh my god. Yeah.
it seems decent.
That's pretty cool. There's just so much you could do with this card. And I think that like if you play it in enchantments, if you play it in artifacts, if you play it in human like any typal deck, right, where you're just like, here's my card type, this can bring back 2 of your best things, and it's a 3/4 that hits for 6.
Yeah, yeah, super good. I'm excited about Squall. Alright, we have Esper Origins, 1 and a green for a sorcery that says Surveil 2, you gain 2 life. If this spell was cast from a graveyard, exile it, then put it onto the battlefield transformed under its owner's control with a finality counter on it. It has flashback for 3 and a green, so if you flashback it, if you snapcast or mage it in any way, if you cast it from your graveyard, in any capacity, you cast it and it turns into you still survive 2, you still gain 2 life, and then it becomes a 4/2 or 4/4 enchantment creature, with Saga, so this is a good example of one of the cards that we can talk about. It's a Saga creature, so it flips, chapter 1 happens, you reveal the top card of your library. If it's a permanent card, you put it into your hand, so it works well with the Surveil. Chapter 2, so on your next turn before you attack, on main phase 1, you add green, green, and then the following turn, so you can attack at that point. Then the following turn, chapter 3 happens, you sacrifice it, so you've only attacked 1 time. But then other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain trample. Just wanted to talk about this card because it's like free value when you're playing. Like I kind of see this card being good in maybe Insidious Roots, but probably the like Gruul Delirium deck. Honestly, that's playing like Dredger's Insight, and you're playing the mill four cards, cash grab, that kind of thing. Like just giving you random 4 mana 4/4s that give you card advantage, give you mana ramp, and then like buff your team. Like Afterburner experts, for example, are not very good on their own at like pushing a ton of damage through when the opponent has a good board state of their own. But Afterburner experts are very good when they are 6/4s with trample. So yeah,
You can also cycle through this multiple times. I'm reading the wording. So you exile it to the flashback and then put on the battlefield transformed under its control. Oh, it's got a finality
finality
counter.
counter
Never
on
mind.
it. Yeah,
I didn't read that text.
yeah,
Okay, so yeah, you only get that one swing, but I mean you get to surveil 2 twice, gain 2 twice, and you get a 4/4 out of it the second time. If you just bin it with roots, then yeah, I could see it. I think it's definitely like a build around. You're right.
yeah.
You need it in a deck that really like requires that final push. It's a mini overrun, and that seems pretty good.
Yeah, I can imagine it. Yeah, just like breaking the board stalls that like Gruul Delirium may run into if they're playing against prowess, where it's like we're just got a bunch of creatures in play and someone needs to push something through. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be amazing, but it's always keep these cards in mind because it's like a free value card. It's just free card advantage in a deck that's just going to be like discarding cards with FOMO, milling it over with Dredger's Insight.
And I
What?
like it because it says Esper and it's not Esper.
It has nothing to do with us, the color Esper.
It,
Yeah.
it it's green, and then the other Esper card is red that they made.
Yeah,
So
so it must not be referencing the the wedge.
someone commented, Esper in Final Fantasy is a title given to magical beings.
I
So
gotcha.
the more you know.
There you go. Jack, what does
This
Noctis
card
do?
this card is actually Esper. It's 4 mana for a 4/3. It's got lifelink. It's a human noble. And you may cast artifact spells from your graveyard by paying 3 life in addition to paying their other costs. If you cast a spell this way, that artifact enters with a finality counter on it. Hmm. People have already told me in the comments how there's a bunch of ways to break this in EDH. I think they said an Aetherflux reservoir. and like two other cards just go infinite. Like you like a Displacer Kitten.
Wait a minute. Aetherflux Reservoir is a combo payoff? No way. You're lying.
Who would have thunk? I was looking at this card like, oh my god, you're gonna play this in like older formats. You're gonna play like Black Lotus with Displacer Kitten, and then you're gonna like get your Black Lotus back, flicker it, crack your back Black Lotus, pay through life, recast it, flicker it with your Displacer Kitten. Like, there's gonna be like some crazy loops you can do with this stuff. And finality counters only work if the thing goes to the graveyard like while the counter's on it. If you're able to somehow take the counter off with a Hex Drinker, or is it Hex Drinker? No, the Hex Parasite, or other ways to get counters off of creatures by like blinking them or flickering them, then you're able to get to this point where I think you can really break the symmetry on this card. And floor out of this card is your artifacts come out of your graveyard, right? They blow up your stuff. With Brotherhood End, you bring it back.
Yeah. I think this card's good. Yeah, I think what is it? Core Tapper is just like the 1 mana artifact that you can add or remove a oh, it's a charge counter. That's what it is. But yeah, this card seems like it's going to be very good. If it for nothing else, just like value, blue white is typically the affinity color anyway, and also with four springleaf drum in your deck, typically mana is not that hard, to make. So like I could see it being a pretty good card. It's just interesting because it's like right now in standard, it's probably not the most relevant. It's just not like a ton of playable like artifacts and but there is, right? Also there is because unstable synthesize unstable? Unstoppable? Synthesizer? Experimental
Uh,
synthesizer.
yeah, Simulacrum Synthesizer makes the constructs.
That's what it is. Simulacrum synthesizer. That's probably the best one. Or is that an
It's
enchantment?
crazy. No, it's an artifact.
Okay, there you go. But yeah, well, I think this is one of the cards that's like I kind of need to see a list before I can make an opinion on how it is.
Repurposing Bay. There's
Yeah,
Repurposing Bay. So you
repurposing
just like
bay. Yeah,
pod into your Simulacrum Synthesizer, pod into your roaming throne, and get your Simulacrum Synthesizer back.
yeah, and like
Roaming.
chainsaw and stuff like that. So we'll see.
Yeah, there's so much crazy shit you can do. I don't know if it's gonna work, but we're gonna try it.
And I guess oh, finality counter. I was about to say you could phantom train, but finality counter is going to give you trouble. But yeah, Noctis seems super sweet and interesting. And a cool like Esper, cool new take on the Esper colors, I would say.
Yeah,
Okay,
Esper Artifacts is crazy.
let's talk about Tifa Lockhart. 1 in a green, 1/2 with Trample Dample. Whenever Elena enters, you double Tifa Lockhart's power into end of turn. I read this card the first time I read this card. I'm like, this card sucks. Like play your land for turn, it becomes a 2/4. Like, what are we doing? Oh, it's just the power. You play a land, it becomes an actual grizzly bear with trample. Boo. However, if you just like have like a giant growth, right? Something that gives it +4/+4, you just play a Fabled Passage or an Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, and you kill your opponent. So it's like the card has a lot of very explosive potential, but also it still just reads very weak to me. As a card in general, but like, what an interesting design, right?
Yeah, every deck is playing for Torch the Tower. Every deck is going to be playing Lightning Helix soon. If you're not playing those cards, then you're playing more like powerful, busted late game stuff,
Yeah.
and you're like playing different forms of removal. I think that this is one of those cards where it's like, yeah, like as you told me earlier, you Titanic growth this. It gives +4/+4. Then you play an Evolving Wilds, you just kill somebody because that's 20. But
It's still got two toughness, so yeah.
so it's like they just shock it in response, and you're like,
Yeah, my Titanic growth that I put in my deck. No.
yeah,
Yeah.
my spell fails, and then I just die.
Yeah.
And this feels like the old school tooth and nail idea, right? Where you're like, I'm going to like win, but you only win when your opponent is doing actually nothing.
That's the trouble. Yeah, if there's 0 interaction, I'll win the game, and also they don't have a single blocker, and like, cause you could
And they
attack for
went
20
home.
and they could block with a 2/2 and they go to 2, but then like you're sitting with a handful of Titanic growths and you're just like, I made poor deck building decisions. I lost this game. I lost this game not right now, but in deck building. So
Yeah.
we like Tifa. I think It's interesting, and it's also probably not very good in constructive formats. Jack, what does Ultima do?
Okay, in standard, this is gonna be a bad card. This is gonna be one of those cards where it's like, okay, we don't have a lot of ways to tap for colorless, right? You have like Three Tree City, you have Cavern, you have Soulstone Sanctuary,
They just
you
printed
have like,
wastes, didn't they?
oh, they did print wastes. Okay,
Yeah, but like,
okay.
you're right.
No, no,
You're still right.
no, no, no. But like, like, I'm trying to think of what colorless cards we can play that this is gonna help us pay off. Because if you haven't heard,
Wait, read the card
this is a
first.
five
There you
five
go.
mana 4/4 5 mana 4/4 with flying. Whenever it attacks, you put a blight counter on a land. For as long as that land has a blight counter on it, it loses all land types and abilities and has tap for a colorless. Whenever you tap a land for a colorless, you tap for two colorless. So it doesn't technically it gets around dampening sphere because it says whenever you tap a land for colorless, add an additional.
It's not a replacement
So
effect, yeah.
yeah, so it'll get through a dampening sphere. However, if you play this on turn 5, and you untap and you play your sixth waste, on turn 6 you have access to 12 colorless mana. This is gonna be like a god. First off, we go to commander to start. Best colorless commander of all time. I'm calling it right now. All of your lands become soul lands, and in your colorless Eldrazi or artifact deck, your opponents will shit bricks. They don't understand what's happening. They'll be like, "Please stop! I I didn't. Nothing happened. He played a 4/4 and then he untapped. like
Yeah,
like the sky fell." And I feel like you're gonna be able to play uh hardcast Ulamog Ceaseless Hunger on turn 6. Like you can just go like Mystic Forge, Storm Off on turn 6, like,
yeah,
and then you go into like modern, you go back into like legacy. I think this is like worse the faster the format gets.
yeah.
But oh my god, being able to get soul lands is super, super busted, and we just need a payoff for it. Walking Ballista, right?
Walking Ballista, yeah. I agree. I think it's not gonna be as good in standard, but it is gonna be good in the older formats potentially. Where like if there is a deck that supports this card and a payoff, or like Mana Sink, this card's nuts. Like because you just play Ultima. It's not an Eldrazi, so it doesn't work with Temple, but it does work with like Ugin's Labyrinth. Like you can Ugin's Labyrinth into Ultima fairly easily. And then if you have like the Karn package for or whatever, like let's assume that all of your lands tap for colorless, or maybe one of your lands is a basic forest. You play land 6 or land 4, whatever, and then even if you have like what 4 colorless lands in play, you've got 8 mana there. So with 9 mana, Karn down tick, you get a 5 drop, and you could have more than that. You could have all 6 colorless lands, right? So you could have up to 12 mana, which means that you could Karn down for an 8 drop. So pretty good, man. Like that's good clean living.
Forsaken Monument. It's literally a Forsaken Monument.
That flies. Yeah. And it also
Hmm.
just has like the random utility of like I'm going to blight counter your land. Like let's say you're playing Jeskai and you've got one red source. I'm gonna blight counter your red source and now it doesn't do anything. Congrats. Wondrous. So I like Ultima. I think it's gonna be well, it's a wait to see card for me as well, where it's like I have to see a list and see it do things, but I'm sure
Commander for sure.
yeah, we'll see for
Commander for sure.
constructed.
Everything else, exactly.
Yeah. And then last, let's just talk about Starting Town. It's a land, it's a town, and it enters tapped unless it's your first, second, or third turn of the game. So it's kind of like a fast land, but for turns. It has tap to add a colorless, and you can tap pay a life to add a mana of any color. You know, we love to see potentially better mana confluence in standard. Um, get these in every deck that is even a little bit aggressive, and maybe just every deck, period. But especially if you're playing 3 colors and you're even a little bit aggressive, like this card's going to be the best card in your deck, probably bar none. So
I think Tarkir really wanted everybody to play three colors, and they were not able to play three colors because of like fixing. And the land cycle in Tarkir was a single color land cycle, so it didn't provide any fixing at all.
yeah, it was
And
weird,
in
huh?
this set, one of the biggest sets of the year, there wasn't any color support. There wasn't any multicolored support. There's not a cycle of dual color lands in this set that are
Right.
rare. Starting Town is the card that everybody will want. This is kind of insane because this is going to be the go-to card for every mana base. Just like Mana Confluence was, there's the downside that sometimes it can enter tapped, but there's the upside that you don't have to kill yourself to an aggro player with it. And I just think this card is going to, I agree. I think this card's going to be huge. And I think that if you're playing more than like two or more colors, sometimes you're going to want to have a couple copies of this in your deck.
Yeah. Like maybe literal blue white control is not going to want starting town, but even just like the omniscience deck, which like my goal is to kill you on turn 4. This is a land that doesn't enter untapped on turn 4 specifically, but every other turn of the game it's fair game, and it helps, helps you with all of your mana requirements. So yeah, we like starting town. And that is the spoilers that we have to, for announced for you here today. Very cool, very exciting set. I wish I knew more about the flavor, but it's cool just being on the outside looking in. And yeah, Jack, any other final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Well, I like that we finished on the starting town at the end, and we finished with the starting town. That's very goblin-esque. Sometimes it's better out than in, I say. And
Indeed.
so here I will say that one of the cards that kind of embodies this whole um, the whole feeling of this set is Dark Confidant, right? A
Mm,
card that for so long was something that was a staple of formats, played in modern even. And, a lot of people will kind of look at Dark Confidant and the way that, it shows up in this set. And it's a good, like, I think it's a good talking point, real quick, because this is a set where a lot of people have very strong opinions, right? Universes Beyond is very compelling one way or another. And I think the best way to look at this, the best way to look at most Magic sets going forward is to just accept the fact that they're Magic sets. We have to be willing to look at these cards, even if, some of us don't like Universes Beyond. I'm pretty indifferent and I just don't know too much about the game to have opinion one way or another. I know some people love them and I know some people hate them, but at the end of the day, Wizards likes it enough to make it a part of Magic, and I think that they put enough work in to make it canon, to try to make it fit within Magic. And I'm excited to see how these cards play out because there was a lot of love put into the set. I can tell there was a lot of like passion in the art and the way that the cards were put together, and they didn't slack on them. These are good cards, and if we're just looking at it from a purely Magic perspective, I think that they did a really good job, and so we should kind of just take a deep breath collectively as a community before we start hating on Universes Beyond and say, okay, we're scared. We have never been in this place before as a game, but we kind of just need to, take it day by day, look at the set as a part of Magic now. And I think they did a great job.
agreed. And I do think that that's a good way to put, to look at it. Like it is a magic set. It is a crossover with Final Fantasy, but these are magic cards now, especially in the standard format. And honestly, like the overwhelming tone that I've heard from Final Fantasy has been positive. And I know that like being on social media, sometimes it's an echo chamber, but I think that with the amount of work and dedication that Wizards is putting into these kinds of cards and potentially being selective in the type of IP that they allow into canon magic sets, or just like not canon, but like, premier magic sets that are draftable and are going to be in our constructed areas. Like so far, it all kind of makes sense. Final Fantasy feels very magic to me. There's, some things that are like, oh, instant ramen, that's funny, it's a real life thing, but other than that, like, it just feels super, super magic, and I'm excited to learn more about the world of Final Fantasy as I'm playing with the cards, so that's a cool upside as well. But yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's
we'll
good.
go ahead.
I was just going to say it's going to be a great time. Going to see how it shakes out. Excited to see what happens.
Hell yeah. And I think that's gonna do it for us here for the 22nd episode of the Jack and Cole podcast. Thank you as always for hanging out with us, and until next time, peace.
Peace.